A poor woodcutter lived with his wife and 3 daughters in a small hut at the edge of a lonely forest. One morning, before going out to work, he said to his wife, "Have our eldest daughter bring me my noonday meal. If I come home, I'll never get done with my work." And he added, "To make sure she doesn't get lost, I'll take a bag of millet with me and strew the grains on the path." When the sun stood high over the forest, the girl started out with a pot of soup. But the sparrows and starlings, larks and finches, the blackbirds and linnets had eaten up the millet hours before, and she couldn't find the way. Trusting to luck, she went on and on until the sun set and night fell. The trees murmured in the darkness, the owls hooted, and she began to be afraid. After a while, she saw a light glimmering between the trees in the distance, and she thought, "There must be people living there who would let me stay the night." So she headed for the light, and it wasn't long before she came to a house with lighted windows. She knocked, and a gruff voice said, "Come in." She stepped into a dark hallway and knocked at the inner door. "Come on in," said the voice. When she opened the door, she saw a gray-haired old man sitting at the table. He was holding his head propped on both hands, and his white beard hung down over the table and almost touched the floor. 3 animals were lying by the stove, a hen, a cock, and a brindled cow. The girl told the old man what had happened to her and asked leave to stay the night. He said, "My pretty hen, my pretty cock, my pretty brindled cow, what do you say now?" "Dukes," said the animals, which must have meant, "It's all right with us." For the old man said, "We want for nothing here. Go out to the hearth and cook us our supper." The girl found plenty of everything in the kitchen and cooked a nice meal, but she didn't give the animals a thought. She brought the full bowl to the table, sat down, and ate as much as she pleased. When she had had enough, she said, "Now I am tired. Where is there a bed so I can lie down and sleep?" The animals replied, "You've eaten with him, you've drunk with him, you haven't given us a bite. Find out for yourself where you will spend the night." The old man said, "Just go up the stairs, you'll find a room with 2 beds in it. Shake them up and put on white linen sheets. Then I'll come up and go to bed too." The girl climbed the stairs, and when she had shaken up the beds and put on fresh sheets, she lay down in one of them and did not wait for the old man. After a while he came up. He looked at the girl by the light of his candle, and he shook his head. When he saw that she was fast asleep, he opened a trap door and let her drop into the cellar. Late that night, the woodcutter came home and upbraided his wife for letting him go hungry all day. "It's not my fault," she said. "I sent her out with your food. She must have gotten lost. Don't worry, she'll be home tomorrow." The woodcutter got up before dawn, and before leaving for the forest, told his wife to send the second daughter with his noonday meal. "I'll take a bag of lentils," he said. "Lentils are bigger than millet grains. She's sure to see them and find her way." At noon the girl set out with his meal, but the birds of the forest had eaten them the same as the day before, and none were left. She wandered about in the forest until nightfall. Then she too came to the old man's house and asked to come in, and begged for food and shelter. Again the man with the white beard asked the animals, "My pretty hen, my pretty cock, my pretty brindled cow, what do you say now?" Again the animals answered, "Dukes," and everything happened the same as before. The girl cooked a nice meal, but gave no thought to the animals. When she asked about a place to sleep, they said, "You've eaten with him, you've drunk with him, you haven't given us a bite. Find out for yourself where you will spend the night." After she'd fallen asleep, the old man came up, looked at her, shook his head, and let her down into the cellar. On the 3rd morning, the woodcutter said to his wife, "Send our youngest child with my meal this time. She has always been good and obedient. She'll find the right way and won't go wandering around like her sisters, who are no better than wild bees." Her mother didn't want her to go. "Must I lose my dearest child along with the others?" she asked. "Don't worry," he said. "She won't get lost. She has too much sense, and besides, I'll take peas with me and strew them on the ground. They're even bigger than the lentils. They'll show her the way." But by the time the girl went out with her basket over her arm, the wood pigeons had the peas in their crops, and she didn't know which way to go. She worried and fretted, thinking how hungry her father must be, and how her mother would grieve if she didn't come home. At last, as night was falling, she saw the light, and she came to the house in the forest. She asked in a sweet, gentle voice if they could put her up for the night, and once again the man with the white beard said to his animals, "My pretty hen, my pretty cock, my pretty brindled cow, what do you say now?" "Duks," they replied. The girl went over beside the stove where the animals were lying and stroked the smooth feathers of the hen and the cock, while with the other hand she scratched the cow between the horns. At the old man's bidding, she made some nice soup, and when the bowl was on the table, she said, "You wouldn't want me to sit down and eat when these dear animals have nothing. There's plenty of everything outside. I'll attend to them first." So she went out and took some barley and strewed it in front of the hen and the cock, and brought the cow a whole armful of sweet-smelling hay. "Have a good meal, dear animals," she said, "and in case you're thirsty, I'll get you a drink of water." She filled the bucket and brought it in. The hen and cock jumped up on the rim, dipped their beaks, then held up their heads, as birds do when they drink, and the cow took a good long swallow. When the animals had been fed, the girl sat down at the table with the old man and ate what he had left her. It wasn't long before the hen and cock hid their heads under their wings, and the cow began to blink. At that the girl said, "Shouldn't we all go to sleep, my pretty hen, my pretty cock, my pretty brindled cow? What do you say now?" The animals replied, "Duks, you've eaten with us, you've drunk with us, you've given us all a bite, so all of us wish you a good night." The girl went upstairs, shook the feather beds, and put on fresh sheets. When she had finished, the old man came up and got into his bed, and his white beard reached to his feet. The girl got into the other bed, said her prayers, and fell asleep. She slept peacefully until midnight. Then there was such a hubbub in the house that she woke up. All around her she heard a cracking and crashing. The door sprang open and hit the wall. The beams groaned as if they'd been wrenched loose from their pinnings. The staircase seemed to be collapsing, and in the end there was a rumbling as though the whole roof was falling in. But she herself was unhurt, and when the noise stopped, she lay still and fell back asleep. When she woke up in the morning, the sun was shining bright. And what did she see? She was lying in a great hall, and everything around her glittered in royal splendor. The walls were of green silk, covered with long golden flowers. The bed was ivory, with a red velvet coverlet, and on the chair were slippers embroidered with pearls. She thought she was dreaming, but 3 richly dressed servants came in and asked her for her orders. "I don't need you," she replied. "I'll get up right away and make soup for the old man. Then I'll feed the pretty hen, pretty cock, and the pretty cow." Wondering if the old man were already up, she looked around, and she saw a stranger lying in his bed. She looked at him for quite some time, and she saw that he was young and handsome. Then he opened his eyes, sat up, and said, "I am a king's son. An old witch turned me into an old man and made me live in the forest. No one could stay with me except 3 servants who were changed into a hen, a cock, and a brindled cow. The spell could only be broken by a girl whose heart was open to animals as well as humans. That was you. At midnight we were set free, and this old forest house was turned back into my royal palace." Then they got up out of bed. The king's son sent the 3 servants to bring back the girl's father and mother, for they had decided that they would be wed. "Where are my 2 sisters?" the girl asked. "Oh, I've locked them up in the cellar. Tomorrow they'll be taken to the charcoal burner's hut in the forest. There they will stay as his servants until they've grown kinder and learned not to let poor animals go hungry."